I recently stumbled on this story on social media. It's about some young men in Lantan local government area of Plateau State who attacked a monarch in their community and they killed him. Now, this story goes to tell of my kind of view about the conflict, the insecurities, the crisis in northern Nigeria, particularly the Middle Belt region. I've always said this. Most of these attacks that we've seen or insecurities that we've seen in northern Nigeria, I've seen people who have attached these attacks with ethnic profiling, which has to do with Fulani. Now, I've always drawn the attention of people to the fact that most of these attacks are motivated by conflict merchants or people who are masterminds of some of these criminal activities. They push these Fulani young men to come to the limelight while these guys hide beneath and they perpetrate all the evils we see happening. I'm just so glad that these people have been apprehended. What really makes me sad about this whole situation is the fact that there was jungle justice on them. 3 of these young men were said to have been set ablaze by community members who were really angry about the situation. A few years ago, similar thing happened. 5 youths in southern Kaduna, I'm not sure of the particular community, they were killed by their own people because the people said they were informants for Fulani. Now, one of the things I would like to point out about this whole situation is the fact that some of these people we see on social media by the names Fulani, these are people who are criminally minded, who take criminality as a form of business. The people who hire them to carry out these criminal activities, they are the people who are closest to you. They are the people in your communities. They are the people who are in your workplaces. They are in your churches, in your mosques, in your neighborhoods. These are people who go about hiring the Fulani criminals or those with the identity of Fulani to come and carry out these activities because of what they are known to be doing in the attacks within some of these communities in the past. Now, these people have made this situation a business and other people are taking advantage of the situation. Let me give a clear example of what happened to Darie, the former governor of Plateau State. I remember when his father was killed, I told people, do not say that this thing was carried out by Fulani. Don't go about attacking innocent people in their homes in the name of they attack or that they have kidnapped or they killed someone. On social media, I was vocal about it. But certain people were telling me I didn't know what I was saying. Years after that, we've seen report from the police and it is clear that the person who attacked that man was someone closest to them. That was a church member who masterminded the kidnapping of the father of former governor of Plateau State and initiated the killing of this innocent man after they collected some money from the family. The same thing I've seen recently, the picture of a priest in southern Kaduna. I think this thing happened a few years back, but according to stories, this man was kidnapped and was killed by a church member of his. In fact, the keyboardist, who happened to be his neighbor, he hired these so-called criminal Fulani men to go and kidnap this priest. And I remember during that period when this priest was kidnapped, a lot of people, or even after his death, a lot of people were associating that killing to Fulani headsmen or bandits or whosoever is associated with criminality, particularly the profiling of the ethnic Fulani people. Now, I always tell people, please be mindful of the way you are living the real criminals and you are looking outside to people who are doing this thing as business. If we don't use emotions on some of these things that are happening around us, we will get to understand that the real culprits or the real masterminds of these conflicts, people who fuel these conflicts, are not far away from us. These criminals do not have religion. They do not have ethnicity. They have an identity, and that identity is criminality. They don't care whether they are Christians, they are Muslims, they are from what tribe. When they come together for one common goal, which is criminality, they make sure that they carry out whatsoever they hope to achieve, and they do that successfully. At the end of the day, they leave you and I with that aggressive spirit that says, I have to retaliate. I know exactly who came to our community to attack, or who has done this to me, or who has done that. No, it's not far away. It is actually that same person closest to you. Sometimes we just need to open our eyes, our ears to some of these people that are around us. We have to come to a point where we do not allow emotions to get the best of us, but that whenever a situation happens, we allow the security forces to do their job by investigating some of these situations, and so they can unravel whoever is behind these things. I've seen the police do a good job where people thought that these things were carried out by Fulani, but eventually they've got to know that it is not the Fulani, but people within the community, which is why sometimes these stories no longer fly, because they've come to understand that the real situation is done by people that are closest to them. So the news no longer would fly, and people would just sweep everything under the carpet, because of course they have allowed emotions to get in, and they have said things or did things that shouldn't have been done in the first place. I think this is a lesson for all of us to get to see and know that the situations that we see in our communities, if we can look deeper, they are not what they actually look like. If these people were not exposed or apprehended, probably we might have been thinking that the Fulani have attacked Langtan, and at the end of the day, what happens? There might be a retaliation on the ethnic group of Fulani, and before you know it now, the regret will come later when the situations are being revealed. So my advice to people, particularly communities that are prone to some of these attacks, sometimes look deeply into your communities. There are lots of sellouts within the community. This is a political era. And to be honest, there are a lot of political connections to some of these unfortunate situations that we see around us. And if we are not careful, what some of these people want to achieve by saying that they set our communities on fire, we will end up destroying ourselves, because the moment the people are divided, it makes some of these leaders to thrive. And if we are not divided, it doesn't get them to succeed. So what do? We need to come to a point where we tell ourselves that we can no longer allow ourselves to be used. Let's have understanding and begin to look at ways where we can embrace the differences that we have as a people. And that is how we can be able to continue to live in peace, by understanding that criminality is what is creeping into our communities. It is not who we are. We are peaceful people, and that is who we will continue to be.